What is up, everyone? How you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day. I am back with a new unit. Everyone was thinking about that lady, the ESO Lord. That thank you, Onguardian, for confirming it. I know you did a lot of hate in the comments, but at least you provided some valuable information. With that being said, everyone was focusing on her, but this kind of went under the radar. And I got this new unit that's going to be basically a tactical mastery unnamed legendary lord equivalent unit, right? Similar to, and I think it's going to be ancient exclusive. No comment on that, right? We're going to get to it in a second. If you want leaks just like this, like immediately on your For You page, definitely subscribe, and you get sneak peeks or maybe some earlier leaks or insignificant ones in my Discord server. Link in the description. Definitely do join. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So today I'm actually bringing the first known tactical mastery unit, which tactical mastery isn't a class in a way you would think it is. It is mostly like a state, a kind of unit that is really unique from every other unit. However, it's mostly defined as multiple classes at once, right? For example, this unit today, we're going to get to it, is Anklodan, right? As you can see right here, it is both a tank and a mage, right? Defender and a mage. I just put tank. But yeah, defender and a mage together. I'm going to explain the kit as we go along. First thing first, let's get to it. Anklodan, and this is probably like because I actually made this, right? By the way, I made this sheet. I had the leaks in another language that I had to translate, so this is all my writing. If they have any problems, probably it's going to be translation errors. But Anklodan is apparently one of the people in the Discord server said it's like the dragon from Lord of the Rings, or like the biggest dragons in the Lord of the Rings, or a single one. I don't know. It's a big dragon in Lord of the Rings, and it's probably going to be that one that War Guides talked about in the leaks with the devs. It showed like a giant dragon, like Walker looking. But yeah, it's probably going to be that. We don't know. But basically, let's get to its kit. Tank's AoE attack, that's going to be very important. It's basically doing all that. Hard crowd control, strong block, and ally buffs, right? Rarity is going to be legendary lord. It said mystical. I basically translated it after multiple translations. I confirmed it. That it is going to be basically a level higher than legendary, so it's either a new rarity, which is probably not going to happen, and they did not mention anything about a new rarity, and it would be kind of dumb, so I just assumed it's going to be a legendary lord equivalent. But it is going to be unnamed, and also it's going to be a tactical mastery, in parenthesis, tank mage or defender mage, right? Base stats, HP 28,800, so pretty high. I think that's Torador level, and that's going to be very important, as you're going to see. Attack 4,565. That's kind of okay for a mage. Defense 2,400, really low, but you're going to see that's not going to stay like that for long. Magic resistance 4,770, extremely high. I think this is the record for like the highest magic res out of anybody in the game. Cost 30. This makes them become the second highest cost in the game after Titus at 31 cost. Block of 3, that is going to be important. And yeah, just block of 3. And Okay, I think I forgot to add this, but the attack interval of 3.5 seconds, right? I forgot to add it here, but attack interval is 3.5 seconds. Talent. If the hero is positioned on elevated terrain, basically this is going to be the mage one, right? It has two completely different kits. So when it releases, you're probably going to see like 10 passives, right, altogether. Not that much, like 7 or 8, but yeah, it has two different kits and it switches between them. It's not going to be similar to Ingrid that it does this and then does that. No. It actually is multiple skills. You're going to see. This is going to be the mage part of its kit. If the hero is positioned on an elevated terrain, so it becomes a mage. Basically, you can put the hero anywhere, right? Ground, I don't know, like up on the platforms. Completely cool. If you put it on platforms, it becomes a mage. If you put it on ground, it becomes a tank, right? And the kit like changes depending on where you put it. If the hero positioned on elevated terrain, so it becomes a mage, attack increases by 15%. So this 4-5 goes to, how much would that be? Like 5-1, something around that. 5-1, 5-2, which is actually really decent. I think that's Alistair level base attack. Pope is I think for 5.4. I don't know. You have to correct me on that. Probably will check. Gains additional defense equal to 50% of attack. So let's say with this much, you have something around 17 to 18,000 attack without a Lord bonus. By the way, you're always going to have him on a Lord bonus probably. But even without a Lord bonus, you have like 18k. That is going to be like 9k HP added. Against defense equal to 50% of attack. Or maybe the base attack. I don't know. That's going to be super busted if that's the case. Already, like if we have it as base stat, so base attack converts 50% of it to defense, that will already be like Regulus levels of defense on a platform unit, which is actually insane. But we don't know. Probably is going to be the latter, as I said, so it will go to like 4,600, which is going to be the highest defense in the game. The hero can be placed, as I told you, every 60 seconds after being deployed. They can change their position in a radius of 3 tiles, similar to like the outchance range, to anywhere, right? Not just as so long as you can place a unit there. So, you know, blocked tiles don't count, but if you can place a unit there, you can switch to them. And based on that, again, where they're placed, if they're on an elevated terrain, they will change it to mage. If they go on ground, they will be a defender. Skills: AoE magic damage. Deals 150, 160, 170, 180. It's kind of odd because it says only 4 numbers. It should be 5. Magic up to 10 enemies in range with a 10% chance. It kind of is under this picture that I took. Up to 10 enemies with a 10% chance of inflicting burning. This is very, very similar to Ajax. This is basically going to mostly read like Ajax. Again, this is Ajax's range. Hypnotic Gaze, passive. Any enemies affected by burn for the first time by the hero, so the hero has to do that, receives immobilized state for 5 seconds. This is the hardest immobilized state given to in the entire game, I think. The only ones close to that, or probably higher, I haven't checked, are Kai and Cuke that have the bear traps that they place down. And they snare, right? It says that they snare or whatever. This is going to give them immobilized state, so they cannot move, but they still can attack if they are being blocked by a unit. Incoming magic damage to enemies inflicted with burn is increased by 20%, right? So when it gives them burning, those units take 20% more damage, magic damage, which would either equal a vulnerability magic of 20% or just 20% more passive, and it can stack with other vulnerabilities. And their magic res is reduced by 30%. This is same level as like the aura around Ajax for 10 seconds. So it gives the strongest magic res reduction in the entire game to whoever he burns, and it gives them vulnerability. First of his kin, passive. Every 10, 9, 8 basic attacks deals 600 AoE magic damage to 10 enemies, applying stun for 2 seconds. And this is going to be important for another one, but again, this is more CC. But it's kind of like the weaker equivalent of the lightnings that Ajax does. At A3, Ajax becomes 25. Jesus Christ. It becomes a 25% chance. If without A3, it's going to be a 15% chance, or once every 6 basic attacks. This one's going to be 1 every 8 basic attacks. That destroys it so much higher. It's 600% AoE damage instead of like 320, I think it is, by the lightning that Ajax does. But yeah, to 10 enemies, again, I don't know, maybe it just is a basic attack. Hopefully it's like the lightning, so it hits everybody in range, not just like a small radius, but we shall see. And gives them stun for 2 seconds. That will be important for his awakenings. Scorching Rage Ultimate, manual and 10 seconds duration. This reads just the same thing as Ajax's ultimate. That is basically with the dragon crest. I forgot the name. Dragon emblem, dragon's bow, I don't know. His exclusive artifact that goes from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. Initial rage 600, max rage 800 after max skilling. Increases attack by 30%, reduces attack interval by 50%, so it attacks even faster, and ignores 80% magic resistance. This is the same level as a maxed out Twyla. Twyla, after 8 ultimates, gets this much penetration on her ultimate. He immediately has it, right? Just equivalent of it in magic damage. Deals 300% AoE magic damage and inflicts burn for 5 seconds. Each time an enemy is killed in this state, when he ults, whenever he kills an enemy, attack permanently increases by 5%. I hope they put a cap on this, otherwise the Watchguard trial is going to be a joke. Not only that, the arena, the whole arena is going to be a joke. Ajax is already super amazing for arena, this guy is just going to make it worse, man. But again, they're gonna nerfing like the magic damage in some of the arenas, especially anti-air, so hopefully this won't be as big of a problem. But holy shit, 5% tank every time he kills. Dude, if you get this, your entire gear raid 1 is done. He just constantly scales up. Yeah, that's basically going to be his mage part. So he's basically Ajax on steroids. It's amazing. Right now, the thing is, the kit doesn't say that they have the unnamed blood passive, the one that increases your stats by 4%, when you increases faction allies stats by 4%, but it's probably there. I just haven't seen it even in the original kit that I translated, but it's probably there as well. Let's go to the next part, and it's going to be the tank part, which is the actually broken part, right? This is why I say that this and the SO Lord that people were talking about are probably the reason that they dropped a Pope bait banner, right? Again, you can read this, and probably they will buff it just to make it sure that you also pull on this. However, again, you can choose if the Pope banner is a bait or not. Let's get to the next part, which is the broken part. It's going to be the defense part, the tanky part, and it is basically the same thing, right? The stats remain the same, nothing changes. If the hero is positioned on ground tiles, or you change it to ground tiles, their block increases by 4, so they go from 3 block to 7. This is the same exact thing as a Bastion Ring Dagon at his ultimate, or Crodor in a gear raid with a Bastion Ring, and he ults, right? It's the same exact 7. This guy doesn't get any more block after this, but like during the ultimate and stuff, but you can still give it a what's the name? You can still give it a Bastion Ring for another block, goes up to 8, and then give it a increased block by either Dahlia or Isolde and make it 9, making it basically break the game with the highest amount of block any unit can have, so 9 block max. Increases HP, defense, and magic resistance by 30%, and damage scales off of defense. Not only that, attack gains an additional attack equal to 50% of its defense, right? Now it could be either like 1200 from here, or after all the maxing out, it could go to, for example, if you have 10k defense on him, it could go to 5k, adds to here, so 9k attack or whatever, because if you're building in defense, you're not going to go for a tank that much. Maybe it's a hybrid, I don't know. Probably the base defense, again, similar to how the attack function, so you will be getting like to, how much would that be, 5.7k attack, which is really nice still, but we shall see. And you can also change the position, again, typo, look at this. But yeah, you can change the positions similar to the previous one. Skills: AoE physical damage, deals 150, 160, 170, 180 AoE damage up to 10 enemies in range with a Valkyra range, Valkyra A1 range, Lubu range, Ares range, right? This is the same thing, 5-tower range, RDN range, right? So it's probably gonna be the run in the arena, and this is going to be meta in the arena. And not only that, it's going to be insane in GVG, because you're going to see in a second. Hypnotic Gaze passive. All blocked enemies receive curse 7 seconds, right? This is extremely similar to a Jankar, whatever you want to call it, at promotion 5. It gives curse 5 seconds instead of 7 to any enemy he blocks. However, the problem with Yankar as a tank is that his base HP is like 14k, 15k. It's in the ground, dude. This guy is 28,000 and gets 30% added to this. So 30% of this. How much would that be? Like 8,400. So 8,400 more to this. That's like the highest base HP we have. That's like 36k base HP. That is 36% base HP, 36,000 base HP, and instead of like 14 or 15k. So it's almost like 2.5 times the Yankar and gives more curse. So this destroys anybody who wants to do a hit and run tactic in Guild Wars. They actually have to stay and beat you. It's insane, dude. You can literally put them as a tank, it destroys them. Not only that, it reduces their damage dealt by 40% for 5 seconds. Now this may seem bad, right? Because he already makes them not attack. Again, basic attack. They can still do special attacks, and he reduces that as well. Not only that, some of the enemies might be immune to it, such as bosses, right? Then it still gives them the 40%. Because if you deploy it on top of the guild boss, which is probably they're being added for the guild boss as well, on top of everything you're gonna see in a sec, they still give reduced damage for the first 5 seconds. That makes sense, but it's still there. Nice. Tail Strike passive, right? Every 12, 10, 8 seconds, similar to Luguru. I think Luguru comes down to 12, however. Deals 220 or 230 physical damage after upgrading to blocks enemies. Not more enemies in this range, just the units that are blocked by him. Reducing their defense by 50% for 6 seconds. Now this is the part that he replaces Torador, right? If you do your timings right, you can always hit the enemy when their defense is down by 50%. Torador with each basic attack gives 5 seconds of defense reduction. And he just basics all the time, so you have a permanent 20% defense reduction. However, after max skilling, this becomes 8 seconds. This becomes 6 seconds. So on average, you're looking at an average of 37.5% defense down compared to 20% from Torador, which makes this a very viable option, as well as the fact that it's unnamed, as the tank for your Abyss 1. It's constantly giving it defense down, making it amazing for physical phases, so you can just focus on magical, and this guy just destroys the physical phase. Ultimate Claw manual 10 seconds, initial rate 600 and goes to 1000, so it's a very expensive ult. Instantly kills all blocked monsters. This is very similar to Gluttony, however it's not one monster, it's all the enemies, and compared to, and that added with the fact that it can go up to 9 block, and even with the absurd buff from Isolde, it still would be 8 realistically with the Bastion Ring. So 8 enemies will instantly die. This makes it amazing for Gear Dungeon 1. They instantly 1 unit's gone. You can do this in Gear Dungeon 2, and basically immediately executes them, similar to Gluttony. And the bosses and elites instead take 400 to 700 with all the max skilling damage, that much, and reduces their damage dealt by 40% for 10 seconds. So if the boss is doing some crazy damage, I don't know, like Meteoric Deluge, you can literally just hit this and the boss will do only 40%. It will do 60% damage for 10 seconds. However, note that this does not stack with Volca or Alistair or Init. You know, their basic attack reduces damage by 30%. So be aware, but still that makes your survivability go up that much higher. Additionally, it applies 20% damage reduction on all allies within 3 tiles in a Dolores range, as you can see, like that. This guy's insane, dude. Kill all enemies, just Gear Dungeon 1, take me, max him out. It's nuts, dude. And not only that, right, we have to get to his awakenings. Awakenings are bonkers. First things first, attack increases attack against enemies inflicted with burning by inflicted with burn. This was supposed to be burn, right? Increases attack against enemies inflicted with burn by 5 seconds per stack with a maximum of 20% increase. So the more burning stacks they have, again, it's hinting at Soul Cadence. It's hinting at Anai, right? The more burning stacks you have on the enemy, you know, Infernal teams, this guy just gains more attack against them, right? 5% per stack, up to a maximum of 20%. A2 is just 300 defense. Again, with the all defense converts into attack and attack converts to defense, this is actually quite nice. Not much, but this is probably the weakest awakening, but you... again, it's just average. Probably also this is going to be the part that they're going to add the unnameable buff, the one that increases your stats by another 2% as well. So that's also nice. A3 is going to be, upon taking fatal damage for the first time, survive and gain unyielding for 8 seconds instead. right? So basically similar to Regulus, if you're going to die, you don't, you just get unyielding for 8 seconds and then survive. And also this happens one time per deployment, I just didn't write that. Stunned enemies take 30% more magic damage for 15 seconds. This is insane because we had it in here, I think. First of his kin, right, deals AoE damage and applies stun, right? They take 30% more damage, so this is probably going to be one ability again, for 15 seconds, triggers once every 60 seconds. The cooldown is pretty high, but overall a good awakening as well. The first time activating an ultimate guarantees a crit hit and applies 4 stacks of burn. We had it with A1, right? Every time that the enemy attacks an enemy with a burning stack, it makes the attack go up by 5%, right? It doesn't say how much. I don't remember it saying how long. Probably like 5 or 10 seconds, or for the duration of the ultimate. That will be insane with like mixing with this, right? It's similar to A3 and A5 of Kigiri working in tandem together. This is the same thing, right? It immediately gives you 4 stacks of burn, right? And this makes you increase your attack by 20%. So you don't even need it. You're just self-sufficient, 20% more attack against everybody after all the calculations have been done. Dude, this guy is bonkers. I don't know how he's gonna look. Probably had some sneak peeks in the dev talk that War Guys did. However, let me know your thoughts if you think that it's going to be better than the Praetus banner, or should you save, should you not? I just did it before, so you have the time to watch this. Again, subscribe so you don't miss out. Probably if I get a leak, I will definitely do it as soon as I can, so you don't want to miss it out. Join my Discord server, link in the description again, if you want to see that. And also, this is, by the way, I forgot to mention, right? This is not an April Fool's joke. This is not an April Fool's joke, right? This is actual information. It just so happens to be on April Fool's. Last year, I did one for Albion Online, and I said Mr. Beast was coming to Albion Online, which was duh. I just used, AI voice generation, which was just dumb, but this is actually what's going to be happening to the game. So let me know your thoughts if you would pull for him. For them. I don't know if it's a she or a he or whatever, right? I don't know, but let me know your thoughts, and if you think it's going to be worth more than Praetus or not. We shall see. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for your support. We just hit 1000. I will probably do a 1000 special as well, and yeah, thank you. Adios.